And we are joined today by Gene Grant. You guys, he's been on the show before. Track announcer, former track announcer at Albuquerque Dragway. I'm Paul, and Ronnie Cohort is also joined us tonight, and he is the current track announcer for Bandimere Speedway, and has been on the forefront for, I mean, everything that's been going on since the track shut down. I know that they've been working feverishly for I don't know, what's it been, a year now, over a year since the track closed.
Concluded the 2023 season, and so
Okay,
almost working on year 3 now. So
so
a lot of behind the scenes work. We'll get into all that.
3 years of no racing anywhere in Denver at all. I know that's got to be. I mean, it's definitely weird for me. I go to Bandimere at least 2 or 3 times a year, so it's definitely strange. Not going there at least at some point. So
Ronnie, I've always been curious if the family and everybody else involved with Vandermeer, have fully embraced and understand how many New Mexicans make big races up there is kind of like a regular deal. It's an amazing thing how many of us get up there, and going
Yeah,
back years too.
yeah, it's I think first of all, like going back to when Bannerman Speedway was open, we were very blessed to see folks from New Mexico, the bordering states, Utah, Kansas, Nebraska, really that whole Rocky Mountain region. But then you even open it up to like the Mile High Nationals, where you saw folks from the entire world. And what a blessing, right, to have a facility and a place where people can gather who have that same like mind of just loving motorsports and loving the automobile. And it was a very special location. It was a very special location, and something that won't ever forget.
Cool.
well, I seem to remember a specific quote from John Force. I think it was right at one of the last races that Bandimere they had at Bandimere, and his exact quote was, "It's mythical shit up here." And he's not kidding. It was a magical place that I enjoyed going to very much. It was a very nice track, and I got to see the World Series of Pro Mod, at that race with my buddy Chris, which was awesome. And me and Ronnie talked about it earlier, the infamous Jet Car Nationals during COVID, when that place was sold out, and I mean, I've never seen a track that packed before. It was, helicopters were flying over, like there was news cameras down at the bottom of the hill. That was a good time.
The thing that I think that I look back on the most when talking about our old location is just the people, right? I mean, you talk about those memories, and you talk about the different racing and the cars. A new location is going to have a beautiful facility and the same cars and everything like that, but it's the racers that are coming back. It's the racers that made the old location so special. And actually, funny enough, I tell this to a lot of folks, because they talk about is it going to be the same at the new location as opposed to the old location? I tell them it shouldn't feel the same, because if it feels the same, then the old location wasn't special. It was an amazing place, being on the side of the mountain, and there's a lot of history on the side of the mountain that will never be replaced. Right? You're talking about, yeah, obviously you referenced Force back in 23, who had mentioned a lot of the different stories that he was really kind of a broke racer back in the, I think it was mid 70s, and it was really John Vandermeer who kind of took him in and allowed him to flourish and gave him the guidance that he needed, and he becomes one of the biggest names our sport's ever seen. You think even back to as you get into the 80s and 90s, and Bob Brockmeyer working with Larry and John and Sporty, and talking about all the different technological advancements, right? I always say this, that as like Apple is to computers, Bandimere Speedway was to drag racing equipment, talking
Oh
about
yeah.
our rotators and the spray rigs and the underground cooling system. These are all things that helped and pioneered, because we just wanted to make the sport better, right?
I had actually forgot about the cooling system in the starting line. I completely forgot that they had that.
And again, it's look, in the end, right? You go to the Mile High Nationals. It's mid-July. It's hot. right?
Yep.
It's 105 degrees air temperature, so track temperature is no doubt 135, 140, and when you can run some cooled water through just like a radiator, you're looking at a track temperature that's a lot more manageable for a race car to get down the racetrack, and then your 25,000 fans who are in the stands, they get to see a good show, right? And when they get to see a good show, that's when they're going to say, man, I saw stuff that I ain't never seen before. I'm coming back next year. Right. And so those small, investments and advancements, and it's a credit to the Bannerman family. The Bannerman family took everything that they achieved and said, how do we do it better? And continued to do that. Right. It's really easy, I think, particularly in today's world, to get really content with what we're doing. Right. And that was never the case for the Bannerman family or the Crisp family. And I think this new chapter that we're embarking on is even more further proof, right? That they want to bring a legacy of speed to Colorado that'll last years and years and years. And so I'm just blessed to be a really small piece of it in the marketing and announcing side of things. And there are some amazing people, and they're doing great things. And obviously, we hope it. If we wish it was a little bit faster than what it is, I think we would all say that. But you can't rush the process either, and we're very faith driven as well too. And God's timing is perfect. And when it is time and when it is real, it will show itself. And it's amazing how many things you learn about when you go through a new endeavor like this, and how the right door opens at the right time.
Right.
And that's not just coincidence.
Right.
And that's a door that has to open for you in order for this all to work.
Yeah, in order for you to get to the other side, yeah.
Those doors are opened by God. And that is just an amazing thing to continue to watch and see. And that's probably the thing maybe I miss the most is we reference the racetrack a lot as our chapel, right? And our place to gather in our worship, and to not have that is sometimes difficult. And so, but we're excited for the future, and certainly one of those things where to get drag racing back and going, and there's some great racetracks locally in Colorado that a lot of our racers are going to. In fact, I'm going to one this weekend down in Pueblo. But to have home back, man, that's gonna be very, very exciting whenever that is.
Well, I remember when the track closed down, you had gotten on Facebook and were putting together, a list of, places that, I mean, really you were working for the local racers, putting together lists of places, including, Albuquerque, Julesburg, Pueblo. I mean, as far as Kansas and Missouri and Las Vegas and Chandler and all these places. And I mean, those were very intricate lists with purses and payouts and dates and miles and the amount of gas it was going to get to get there. And like I said, I'm sure that like I said, I don't see any other people that from any racetrack ever that is like, hey, our track is down for a while, so let's try to make the best of it. And I'm sure that everybody really appreciates that part of what you put out there.
Our sport is I called it a drag racing tracker, essentially, right? And it's a very simple Excel spread. I'm an Excel spreadsheet nerd, and so I like the columns and everything like that. And so I thought, well, and this is the beauty about our sport, right? Because you both know that our sport is so unique in the idea that there's so much camaraderie and there's so much respect and sportsmanship. There is no other sport where I'm going to rip a water pump off my car to make sure you win a race, right? I mean, that's an incredible thing. And on top of that, I think we look at that as racetracks as well too, right? While we're down, we are lending our resources and whether it's marketing or announcing or, Larry is helping so many local racetracks, not only in this region, but across the country with an amazing wealth of knowledge, right? And because every racetrack's important, right? Whether it's small, a large track. We are stronger together. And I always tell people, this sport unfortunately sees from the outside of our sport a lot of folks who try to pierce in with drama, environmental stuff, sound, whatever. So we, as a inside our sport, we really have to be strong and supportive, and that's why we've told a lot of our local racers, man, go support a Pueblo Motorsports Park, go support a Julesburg drag strip, go support a Grand Junction, Western Colorado. Although there unfortunately is the Rocky Mountains in the way, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to tell. But still,
and I've heard stories about that one too.
Yeah, go support those small tracks because they are so valuable to our sport. And coming from a marketing standpoint, sometimes I actually get a little jealous of the small town tracks because they can kind of do some fun things that we as such a large facility sometimes can't do. And so my hope is that our racers continue to go support those small tracks and be involved and even and branch out down to Albuquerque, right? Get down to Phoenix, get down to Vegas, because there's going to be a time when Vandermeer Speedway 2.0, if you will, comes back online, and then everybody's going to want to stay at home, right? And so that's why I tell people, it's like, if you've ever wanted to travel to go racing, now's the time to do it, right?
Yeah.
Go check out some cool tracks and go make new experiences and, go support them because it's really, really important to be supportive inside our own industry.
Right. So I guess the next question would be, like we talked a little bit about it before. What does, and I said, you don't have to, if you're not allowed to, or if you, there's, I don't know if you've got like, non-disclosures or whatever, but what does the timeline look like for the Vandermeer at the new location? Because I know you guys have got the annex, you guys have got all the paperwork, you guys have got the majority of the land. We've seen drawings, we've seen approval letters and all that stuff. So where do we go now? Is it time to start construction, or like I said, I don't even know where to go in building. And from the drawings that they put online, it looks like it's going to be a whole damn city for a drag strip. So I don't know if that was AI or what, but I mean, like I said, the drawings look like it was some futuristic.
Yeah.
What I mean? It's crazy looking city looking thing. And I'm like, I don't think that's the way it's going to look when it's all said and done, but
Chat GPT at work, I guess, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I tell people the process is kind of where we're at. And I think I really credit the Vandermeer family about this. They've been so transparent, and they've been very open with anybody who has questions, right? Because there's a lot of folks who have questions, and so right now where we're at is we were very blessed on April 1st to receive the vote of yes unanimously by the town of Hudson, and the town of Hudson is about 20 miles just outside of Denver, it's really funny. If you go the distance where you were from Denver to our old location, it's literally the same distance, just turned to the northeast. And so it's not that far from Denver. It's not in the middle of nowhere. It's small town agriculture, very conservative thinking, very car friendly, which is obviously, is awesome. And it's so cool. I actually live in Hudson, and you go to a restaurant or a barber shop or a hardware store locally here in town, and I obviously wear a lot of Vandermeer gear. The first thing they say, "Oh man, did you hear about Vandermeer? They're coming to Hudson. It's gonna be awesome." And I don't tell them who I am. I just
they have no idea.
I want to hear what they think, and it's amazing to have the overwhelming positivity. It's such a blessing that the town is very excited. And so super excited for that. Obviously, that was a big hurdle that we don't control, right?
Right.
John Vandermeer has said before that they don't have to build a racetrack, but they want to build a racetrack, and they want to build a racetrack where they're wanted to.
Right.
And so to have that desire to have the legacy continue, not only from fans but also racers and the family inside too, and it's a major blessing. And so to get to a bottom line of when's opening day,
Yeah.
just being honest, we don't know that, right?
Okay.
There's still a lot of studies. There's still a lot of different things that have to go on, site planning, and some things you don't control. I think what I tell a lot of people is some of your biggest hurdles are cleared, which is awesome. But there's still a lot of things you want to do to the land prior to really engaging in what your build is, right?
Right.
The piece of property, particularly that they have, is 1,000+ acres. The actual facility will not be 1,000 acres.
Well,
So
yeah.
there is a multi-phase layout development that happens, and with that takes time, right? And on top of that too, when you select a layout for a piece of property, if you've ever bought a piece of property, you're thinking, well, the house is great, but I'm going to build that garage extension right over there, right? But then you got to check easements and setbacks and yada yada yada. Now times that by 1,000,000, right? I mean, you got to
Yeah.
talk about all these different things, and where are your gas? Where's your water? Where's your drainage? How are you going to fold that all in? And so this puzzle piece takes time, right? Because you don't want to go through this entire process and get it wrong. You want to make sure that this bad boy is awesome and great right from the get-go. And so it takes time. It takes time. And Rome wasn't built in a day, and a racetrack won't be either. But the beautiful thing is that you do have a lot of support locally. We have a lot of support through our fans, through our racers, and the family is as gung-ho as ever to get a beautiful, what I'm gonna call the Taj Mahal of drag racing, if you will. It's gonna be a lot of fun in the future. So as much as I'd love to say there is a date that we have, we don't have that number. Wish we did, but it will come in time. It will come in time.
So just the last little question about the town of Hudson. What's the population? I mean, is this track gonna? I mean, are they gonna see some sort of massive economic boom from a drag strip of massive proportions being built in this little town?
And I would even show you. I'd even tell you, right? It's like the town of Hudson. About 10 minutes away from Brighton, Colorado, which Brighton, Colorado would be considered a larger city, right? With a lot of great resources, hotels, restaurants, hospitality, etc. Hudson is just past that, and it is a little bit more on the smaller end, right? The town is starting to see a resurgence of growth, and I would even tell you this whole entire 76 corridor. Denver is interesting because if you think of a piece of the pie, right? Denver being smack dab in the middle has gone through an explosion of growth. As a local, I've seen it over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
So then folks migrated south to Castle Rock and Colorado Springs. And then you had more growth in Denver, and it got really busy, and then they migrated north, more towards like Longmont and Boulder and Fort Collins. And then you saw another explosion of growth in Denver. And then they started moving west, closer to the mountains, and then we kind of bumped up against that urban sprawl.
Yeah.
The only real spots where we haven't seen that major growth is the Northeast and the East. The Eastern Plains, I think it's going to be a bit before they hit the Eastern Plains because there's nothing on the eastern side of Colorado. But on the Northeast side, you see 76 go through this explosion of growth with Brighton, Hudson. Roggen, Colorado is about 20 miles that way, and they are getting a brand new 18-hole like PGA worthy golf course, right? Sterling is going to go see growth. So there's a lot of growth that's coming through this area, and those are things we think about, right? Those are things that how could we take advantage? How could we help further that growth? And so it is a massively changing area. And thankfully, when you talk about evolution of a town, a city, especially somebody who's going to be your new neighbor, right? You want to make sure that again, we're thinking of the long haul, right? This is not something where you want to come in and say, well, we're just going to build a racetrack here, and whether you like it or not. We want to be fully engulfed in the community, right?
Yeah, and last another 60 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't be fully engulfed, I think, unless the other side is accepting of that.
Right.
And they've shown that they're very accepting of that, and so we're super excited. Super excited. So
Man.
Well, the tale of the new Bandimere Speedway seems to be heating up, and obviously, people are biting their nails all around the country, especially this part, waiting and hoping to get a little glimpse or a little taste of what's to come. I mean, obviously, we're super excited. Like I said, I love going to Bandimere Speedway. It was some of the best times hanging out with. I mean, that's where I met Danny and Scott, and me and Danny and Scott have a group chat that goes back almost 7 years on my phone. It goes back 7 years. Me and Danny and Scott have been, we're the best of friends for the last 7 years. And I know Danny's itching to get. He's a huge Bandimere fan, and Scott doesn't live in Colorado anymore. Actually, I think Scott lived in Brighton, but he's down in Texas. But like I said, it'll be interesting to see. How everything unfolds and see what is to become of the new track. We're definitely excited to see what it looks like and see plans and be there for the whole shebang and ride along. And like I said, we are excited.
Are you going to have a say in the kind of gear you're going to kit out the tower with? They're going to allow you to kind of pick your equipment.
Yeah, one of those big hats.
A great opportunity. How many times?
I told the family. I said I'm just blessed to be a part of it. I don't know what I did to deserve to be a part of the team and the family, and but I'm very blessed to work with people. I worked in sports radio for about 10 years. Cool. And radio is a very ruthless business. I saw firsthand the corporate side of things, and then I went to work for a family related business that wasn't so great just because they were family run. When I started working for the Bandimere family, I mean, there was an immediate genuine care, and an immediate acceptance, and I'm very blessed to be a part of it, and super excited. We have an amazing group of racers who not only talented on the track, but are great people off of it. I am so blessed to call so many of them friends.
Yeah.
And that's probably the thing that hurts the most with us being on this kind of temporary pause is the fact that I don't get to see a lot of them.
Yeah.
In fact, it's so funny on so many of our meetings, our public events, we had folks who were coming and supporting, and one of our locals who actually lives here in Hudson, Cebu, he said, this thing's kind of like a family reunion, right? I mean, you really get really close with so many friends, and then all of a sudden you get distanced. And so we've tried to kind of host some just regular get-togethers at different houses to try to stay connected. But life gets in the way, right?
Yeah.
Things happen, and so you get a little disconnected. And so to have a place to get back together again, is amazing. And I have said before, I've told Johnny and Sporty this. I've said, you're either going to take the keys away from me or I'm going to die. It's going to be one of the two. I'm just very blessed to be a very small part of it. We're very excited. I hope we can get some, Kale and Cody, the boys, Larry's sons, they're incredibly talented when it comes to sound and audio and video. And if I know them, they're going to put together some amazing things that us announcers are going to be spoiled with. That I'm very, very excited for. So
can't wait to see it.
Yeah, we definitely can't wait. Well, let's do a little bit of a 180 here, and I know that we talk about it a lot on the channel. Obviously, IHRA, NHRA is a huge topic of discussion and a huge topic of debate nationwide, and it doesn't matter where you go, what track you talk to, somebody is mentioning the IHRA, NHRA, whether it's them competing with each other or the things that IHRA is doing, the things that NHRAs are doing, and it would seem to me that the newest thing. I mean, obviously, Drag Illustrated already did the Winter Series $1 million deal, and nobody was successful at it. But IHRA announced a couple months ago that they're going to do the Triple Crown, which starts next weekend, I think. And they actually moved the race because I guess there was a shooting at the original track or something.
Yeah.
I thought only shootings at drag strips happened in Albuquerque or whatever, but I don't think we've ever had a shooting here. Actually, wait, maybe we have. But yeah, $1 million, but you have to win all 3 events, and that is bringing out. I mean, I wouldn't say the biggest of the big, because I mean, obviously, force cars aren't entered. But you've got names like Paul Lee and Trip Tatum, Matty Gordon, Ron Capps, Scott Palmer. I mean, Scott won the last race. But I mean, these are names that people in my Facebook feed said that unless these guys showed up to an IHRA race, IHRA would never be what they want it to be, or they would never have sellout crowds. And now, like I said, these are big names that are coming to try to win $1 million. And I believe that they are going to have sellout crowds at IHRA races for the next 3 races.
It's the missing piece for them when you really think about it. Something gets dropped in their lap, especially with the Ron Capps thing. Man, I got to tell you, fellas, that opened my eyes. And I'll tell you why right now. It's not just the brand name of Ron Capps. It's what's on the side of his hot rod. The names Napa, Carlisle Tools, all that. These are national footprint sponsors.
Right.
They cannot stay away from the IHRA schedule. They can't stay away from it. They have to be involved with this. And what Cuddle's done here is kind of brilliant. It's almost like by laying this amount of cash on the table, he's made it easier actually for the corporately sponsored guys to get in a weird way. I mean, they don't need the money, but at the same time, it's great if they win it, you know what I mean? Anyway, by hanging such money out there for 3 races, the commitment seems reasonable. The fans can get their arms around this situation very easily. It's going to be a big draw. And I think where they're really going to score, Paul and Ronnie, is actually on the online version. Not so much in the stands. And that's going to build over time. I got a whole other take on that because IHRA is not exactly getting a lot of folks in the stands quite yet.
Correct.
You know what I mean? But that can solve itself later. I think they're angling much more to be a TV product. And I think they're on the right track with that, actually.
Well,
go ahead.
I can tell you that I've watched some of the biggest producers for the online stuff, whether it be Flow Racing or not too many names come to mind, but Speed Sports, who has been doing IHRA the entire time, it's better than any NHRA broadcast I've ever seen. They got drones and shit. I mean, it's absolutely incredible how well Speed Sport does with what they have to work with. Right. Being a small production company, their coverage is absolutely incredible. It's some of the best coverage that I have ever seen for any drag racing event.
Let me ask you guys a question. Ronnie, you might know this. Is it Windy City Productions that's actually doing the IHRA stuff on the?
I don't know exactly. I believe I had heard Windy City was doing it at one point.
Okay.
I don't know if it changes based on geographical location or things change. I don't know the answer to that.
Right. Gotcha. But Paul's point's well made. What they have done, and honestly, guys, I watch this kind of stuff very closely, as we all do. But I'm a TV guy, and Paul knows. Ronnie, you might know this, some people watching. 18 years in television, just about 3 or 4 years ago. So when I watch things, you can really grok how good people are by camera angles, height, camera placement, how they cover the stripe, especially. And the IHRA coverage is dynamite. It is absolutely dynamite.
Definitely.
They were dynamite on broadcast 1. They had it licked.
Right out of the gate.
That's right.
Right out of the gate.
They were turning around 3-beat reruns, listen to me, replays of passes inside of 30 seconds by race number 2.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. I was on my couch going, oh my goodness, these people are good. Oh my goodness. I mean, they've got the whole crew down, and I think where they really shine is at the stripe. One of the things for me, guys, that really frustrates me in how we do camera coverage at drag strips, and this is definitely a financial issue, so it's not really a finger wag at all. It's expensive to cover upwards of a mile of coverage in it's not a football field, it's not a baseball field.
Yeah.
So it's hard to stick to that number one rule of always have the action coming either toward or across you.
Yeah.
That's very hard to do with a drag strip. And IHRA coverage had that down cold. And the giveaway is can you cover all the way to the turnoff? Professional broadcast, the NHRA TV broadcast. It feels like the NHRA TV broadcast. But what Paul mentioned a second ago, really, they've actually forced the NHRA TV guys into another mode of being if you watch it closely. IHRA's use of drones is so good, it's made NHRA's coverage of use of drones even better now too, because competition's out there now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a very interesting thing to watch when you really consider both these entities and how they can broadcast. But I'll finish with this. I say Cuddle and the whole crew is on the right track when they are doing this so well with the consistent colors. That I think that's a brilliant move by them. The names, I mean, you can easily hook into it as a brand new drag racing viewer. There's lots there to really kind of pull you in. The Ferris wheel in the background.
Yeah. Bull riding going on in the pits.
Thank you very much.
Bull riding going on in the pits. Like
They've got it down. I'm telling you, it's a great TV product. They've really got it down in a short order. Ronnie, I'd love to hear your point of view on this. I know you watch this kind of stuff closely too.
Yeah, I'm a racing nerd. I've got if I'm not at a racetrack, I'm streaming the racing, and if I'm at a racetrack, I'm probably still streaming the racing.
Yeah, we were doing that at Chaos and Innis. Yep, I had the IHRA race on, watching everybody going down the track as I'm standing with my camera, and I'm like sitting there. Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
My big thing about I think the whole thing is I'm a big proponent of iron sharpens iron, right?
Right.
And I love the fact that I speak not only as a racer, but folks who know we've worked with Ron Capps quite a bit, right? I love the fact that he has an opportunity now, an extra opportunity that he never had before. Whether it's about the money or the prestige or the trophies or he's a racer, right? He just wants to race another weekend, right?
Right.
He has that opportunity now, and I think they've done a really nice job in layering to make sure the schedules to allow that. You talk about different things that pros have to deal with, right? Just getting rigs around the country can be a difficult thing too, right? And so it is a major commitment when he says, hey, I'm going to come run your race, right? There's no doubt money was probably somewhat of an influence, but I think to get back to that particular location as well too, a place where, for a long time was raced on the NHRA circuit, and to give his partners that much more exposure, I think is a big deal too, right? And then on top of that, the cherry on top of the sundae is an attractive purse, right? Not only from an individual race standpoint, but also the Triple Crown as a whole. And so I love seeing it. I mean, just even going down to the sportsman level, right? To see Heartland Park come back online after 4 or 5 years, and to see them hopefully by the end of the year they'll be ready to go. That's another opportunity for our racers to go drag race, and I think that's awesome. I say this a lot, for all the headlines that you see and all the things going on, and I know gas is really, really expensive. Diesel is $5.15. I checked it this morning. I firmly believe this is the best time to ever be in drag racing. You're talking about tracks that are now growing and expanding. You're talking about sanctioning bodies that are growing and expanding. The NHRA just announced that they had hired a firm. They're working with the RPM team to down in southern Florida to potentially put together something new.
Palm Beach International Raceway,
that's just building those blocks, right?
Yeah.
We've never had a facility standpoint or a racetrack standpoint that continues to see that kind of growth like we have. And then on top of it, the cars have never been faster. They have never been safer. And in some cases they've never been easier to drive, right? I mean, there's some race cars that drive like Cadillacs. It's amazing. And so, you start to see all this come together, and it's just like, man, you've got index racing, you've got heads up, you've got eighth mile, you've got quarter mile, you've got junior dragsters, junior street. To me, that's beautiful because the diversification means that if you like the automobile and you like going fast, and if there is a modicum of that thrill seeking in you, there's something for you in drag racing. And I think that's awesome because it means that there's going to be growth in our sport. It means there's a bright future. It means there's strength in numbers. And then your partners that you see on the side of these race cars, they see the value in being a part of this. So they invest more in racers. Racers can travel more. And it's all just a great thing, right? And so for me, I love the fact that you have this association coming up now to kind of have that iron sharpens iron type deal. And my hope is in the end, the winner is fans and racers.
Right. Well, and to your point about iron sharpening iron, hopefully and again, NHRA is also making moves. I'm not saying that they're not. They brought in the Street Outlaws to do their, whatever that class is, which I think Ryan Martin won the inaugural one. Mm-hmm. Ryan Martin got his first Wally at an NHRA national event, which I think is great. And like you said, the RPM group is trying to bring back Palm Beach International Raceway. But I've been drag racing my entire life. I'm 41 years old now. The first time I ever went to drag strip, I was in my mother's belly. She was running the tower, or the computer in the tower. And in those 41 years, I have never seen more drag strips get reopened that were closed for a decade or more than I am right now. And I never thought that I would see that. You got Heartland Park Topeka, Atlanta Dragway, Memphis International Dragway, hopefully Palm Beach International Raceway. I've never been there, but I've seen pictures, and it looks to be like a fantastic drag strip. You know what I mean? And we're trying to go to Heartland Park Topeka before the end of the year to race Top Drag Strip with the IHRA, which would be super cool. But again, back to the purses. Yeah, I mean, if you win the Triple Crown, that's $1.15 million. That's a million.
Imagine if like Lex June won that. Wouldn't that be balls?
Oh, dude, to see Lex win something like that, or even to see my good buddy Scott Palmer, dude, just seeing him win that race was, it was. I mean, it's been years since he's been in that situation, and to watch him win a race, spending as much time as we spent at Funny Car Chaos and watching him, whack the throttle on his little margarita machine and just hanging out with those guys, and watching him and Sadlin out in Kansas, he almost took Studezilla out at that track. Like I said, those were some of the greatest that we were Scott up there in Kansas racing Funny Car Chaos, and I mean that was an absolute blast. I had such a good time. Scott is such a nice guy, and to watch him win an IHRA national event was awesome. But to see Lex do something like that would be great, because he's the champ when it comes to racing on the other side of the pond. But like I said, racing, being a small team, especially from Lex's standpoint, even Scott's not necessarily a small team. He's got 2 cars and 2 rigs. But being a small fish in a big pond, with the big 3 names, Force and Schumacher, and going back to Ron Capps, I guess being an independent team owner now that he owns the team, he can afford to be able to go race at IHRA or be able to do that. He doesn't have to have permission. He doesn't have to say, hey, Don, is it cool if I take this stuff and go out there and do that? I think that's why some of these independent teams are able to do that. Now, as far as like Schumacher and Force, that would probably have to be a team decision between all the cars to decide whether or not they're going to do something like that. Because, obviously you got to ask the boss if you can go play with the toys. You know what I mean? But I know Ronnie had mentioned something about the possibility of what's going to happen if an NHRA event and an IHRA event overlap.
Yeah, it would be interesting, right? And my hope, just being honest with you, my hope is the scheduling gods get it to the point to where that never happens, right?
Right.
Because then you have racers who can race and pick and choose whichever way they go. I don't care if the racer is a big team, if it's a small team, a sportsman racer, doesn't matter, right? To give them more opportunities is awesome, right? Certainly, I think we're probably gonna eventually come to that point, right, where there's only so many weekends in a year, and does things overlap? Certainly would make it interesting. I know a lot of these race teams are putting most of their schedules together at the beginning of the year, and because again, you're talking about so many team members and rigs and equipment and making
the logistics of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is not as simple as like a sportsman racer who's just got a dragster sitting in the back of the trailer. Hey, let's go to Kansas this weekend. I mean, about 5 minutes before the show, you guys were like, should we go to Pueblo this weekend? Let's go to Pueblo.
Yeah, and now we're going to Pueblo. Yeah.
There you go. That's not kind of how the pro teams can navigate it. And so my hope
the logistics of it
is get as many opportunities to be at the racetrack, because again, that's great for everybody, right? That's great for the fans who will see him, right? There's a lot of folks that they only get one shot a year to see these guys, and it's really important for them to put on a great show for those fans, or else that fan could navigate towards any other automotive sport or any other sport in general, right? And so it's important that aspect. It's important for the partners to get multiple opportunities, right? You guys were just talking about the live stream, right? That brings a new kind of audience, right?
Right.
That's new eyeballs on your partner if you're racing at that event. And so I think it's all terrific for the opportunities to be opened for those drivers to take advantage. And I think there's probably a little bit of this, kind of wait and see kind of thing, and who's gonna jump in and do this or that or whatever. But so far so good, at least from what I've seen, and I think things are only growing and moving forward from here. So I love to see it for not only our sportsman racers, but also the folks who are the face of our sport, right? Because I mean, Ron Capps leads the points right now in funny car, and so you're talking about somebody who is very high profile, is very out there, very, very good on the marketing side of things. I was just watching him on social media. Matty Gordon's throwing out the first pitch at the Braves game, right? And those are folks who are oftentimes your ambassador, may not be the right word, but really kind of is the folks who could be your lightning rod for new fans into your sport, right? And I think that's a great deal.
Well, especially as far as Maddie is concerned, because I was lucky enough to be able to have my niece race against her in a junior a couple years ago. But just seeing the absolute strides that she has taken from, 5 years ago being in a junior to being in a Super Comp car for a year, then jumping into Dad's Top Alcohol Funny car, and now, I mean, she drives a Big Show Nitro car for Ron Capps Racing. I mean, it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter who it is, any kid, as long as they put their minds to it, they can make it to that level. I mean, look at Eric Anders, Leah Pruitt. I mean, you, Ronnie. I mean, granted, you're not driving a top fuel car, but I mean, you're out there racing. You got your dragster and you got your Charger challenge. Was it Charger?
My Charger. I'm small. I'm small peanuts to these guys, but no.
But still, you made that jump. You know what I mean? And just to see some of these kids that we raced with not too long ago making these types of jumps. I mean, Erica and Courtney were out at our track. I don't know. I mean, I was 9-10 years old. I remember it. But just seeing where they're at now, is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love seeing some of that behind the scenes social media content that the pros are pushing out, and Maddie's really good about this. And you can always tell when a driver is maybe more towards the driving side versus working on a car or kind of getting their hands dirty. And Maddie is like, it is so cool to watch her, light up some aluminum, and she's TIG welding.
Yeah.
And then she's doing fuel and getting involved with the top end of the motor. Like that is so. As somebody who was taught to fix their own stuff from the junior dragster days, like that is so cool to see, right?
Yeah.
And she has a very bright future. I really am not surprised, to be honest, because you saw in the alcohol ranks that she was special, right?
Right out of the gate.
Mhm.
Right out of the gate, she was winning national events.
Yep, and she's going to continue to have that success, and super excited because again, what do we just talk about, right? Our sport and ambassadors and a young lady who is not only great on the racetrack but off the racetrack as well too, and there are going to be 10 12-year-old girls who are going to see Maddie Gordon and say, I want to be her when I grow up. And that's super cool, right? And then they're going to beg mom and dad for a junior dragster, and then they're going to be racing. And so it's really cool to watch, and her growth has been amazing over the last couple years. And obviously, she just has a natural talent, because you don't just jump into an alcohol car and just start winning races, right? You don't just jump into a nitro car like it's nothing, unless you have just kind of that gift.
He has that natural ability to be able to do stuff like that. Especially, I mean, I've never been in a top fuel car, but I have been in a 3-seat 550 car, and I can tell you that it's. I mean, I would never even want to drive a top fuel car, because of the feeling you get inside your stomach when you're going 150 miles an hour. The burnout, just feeling those tires grab and feeling your stomach. I mean, I've been 1070s in my Maverick, and that's cool with me. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay in the 10-second range. I'm not sure I would ever drive. I don't have the.
There's no way.
Drive a nitro car.
Nah.
Hey guys, what do you think about this? I think the IHRA also lucked out in another regard with Ron Capps coming across the canal here, in that is, from a competitive point of view, I'm not sure there could be another funny car that would come over that would be better. Imagine it this way. A Del Worsham Ron Capps final would be, for the money, would be unbelievable. I mean, these are guys that a lot of NHRA history, a lot of funny car history that's beyond the beyond. Dell's been having his way with it. You know what I mean? He's been doing great. A lot of other guys have been chasing him, certainly, and he's sort of the big dog, if I can put it. Others might argue, but Ron Capps and Del Worsham would be a very interesting tilt. You know what I mean? That would be really like, the association has arrived, But on the other side of that, too, where did those guys make their bones? Was the National Hot Rod Association. And this is where the heartburn for the NHRA is going to be from this point forward. They've made their names on their dime.
Yeah.
And they can just go down the street and go to IHRA and have a big, I agree with Ronnie totally with what he said a little bit ago about not just the sponsors and everybody that's going to be involved here. Your chance to finally see a big star like Ron Capps in a part of the country that he may not race otherwise is no small thing. You know what I mean? He's a big ass star, man. I mean,
well, to be fair, he is they are racing at Maple Grove they're racing at Maple Grove, right? Yeah. I mean, that's NHRA's last year. That was NHRA's backyard. That was one of their most popular races on the East Coast.
I thank you for that correction. I'm thinking more in the future. I think as this rolls along, you might
right.
The world.
But I mean, still, it's Maple Grove. I mean, you can't get
brilliant, by the way.
I mean, I've never been there, but I've seen pictures, and like I said, I mean, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, short of some of the tracks on this side of the country, I mean, it's all green, beautiful, big trees. I mean, look at Bristol, Thunder Valley. It's absolutely gorgeous out there. Right between the two mountains. Yep. It's all big grass, green hills and stuff. I mean, that's the kind of place that I dream of going to somewhere. I mean, I've been to some green places before, but like I said, Maple Grove or Bristol or something like that would be a cool place to go to. But we've actually gotten a little bit over on the time, so we may not be able to talk too much about the announcing side of the podcast today because we're already at 50 minutes. But We typically like to close out the show by asking a few specific questions. You cannot say Bandimere. Absolutely not. If you say Bandimere, you're going to have to try again. Where is your favorite place to race, Ronnie? Your favorite track that you've ever been to?
I cannot say Bandimere Speedway.
You can't say Bandimere because we already know
Why
you love
not?
Bandimere. Because we already know you love Bandimere.
No, you know what? I will tell you. I have been blessed to travel the country a little bit while we're off, announcing some races, racing some different locations, and the place that you literally just brought it up. There is something about Bristol that is very impressive. If you've ever had a chance to go to Bristol, it is as good as advertised. I would, it's so funny because Thunder Mountain, our old location was on the side of the mountain in the foothills.
Yeah.
Bristol is smack dab in the mountains. I mean, it is actually kind of a scary toe to get up to.
It's in the middle of a mountain, right? Like it's two hills and
crazy. I mean, Thunder Valley is no joke, and it's so cool to see the town of Bristol really kind of embrace that facility. You've got little shops that are racing themed and named after race cars, and the gas stations are called pit stops, and all those things that you can't really you can't make up. And so Bristol would probably, if I can't say our old location, I'm going to say there's an asterisk there, that it is number one. But Bristol would be a close second, and there's some good ones around the country, but definitely Bristol's a solid place.
I can assure you that we've had 5 shows, so that's 20 guests so far that we've had, and more than half of them have said that Bandimere is their favorite place to race. So you're in good company. I know Lyle loves it. I know Ray Stringer says he loves it. Obviously, I mean, me and Paul got to go do the fuel alter deal up there when Lyle was running without his wing, and that was, like I said, that was one of the coolest races that I've been to in a long time. So, like I said, schedule coming up, Ronnie. I know you said you're doing Pueblo. Are you going to be doing any announcing anytime in the next couple months?
So we'll be after Tucson, Vegas, and Galat. That was my kind of early chunk of the year for announcing. I'll be in Pueblo this weekend racing. We've got some races coming up. We're going to be in Grand Junction in a couple weeks doing a shootout race. The announcing kind of on the back burner as I'll finally get my.
It's racing season, man.
Yeah, I finally get to get back behind the steering wheel, so that'll be fun. I am booked to be in Norwalk for the fling, which will be awesome. I love working with the Beyondos, Peter and Emily. They're really another group of folks where family oriented and just a great group of people. And excited to call that one, and hopefully some more flings towards the end of the year with Galat 2.0 and then Bristol. So should be a lot of fun.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the Bader family and Summit Motorsports Park, because Chaos is headed there in just 3 weeks for Funny Car, a tag team of Chaos, Nitro Chaos and Funny Car Chaos. Gene, I know you got something coming up, and it's been a little while since you've announced an event, so I know you. I'm not doing any announcing anytime soon. I'm good. I've kind of sort of retired from all of that. I got juniors and a big top dragster to take care of with Paul Vineyard and Warlord Racing. But what do you got? What do you got coming up, Gene?
I'm lucky to announce that I am going to make a return to Albuquerque Dragway for All Out Call Out in June, and I'm really excited.
There we go.
I want to thank Jeff Algara for reaching out just the other day, and I hadn't even thought about it. And it was traditionally one of the top events I loved so much at Albuquerque Dragway to call. I loved it. It's more streetcar oriented, which is not, but I'm not a big show announcer, so it's really kind of neat to meet everybody, know everybody. The Friday, we were talking earlier, Paul, that the night before, the Friday night Street to Strip.
Biggest Friday night race of the year.
Ooh, it's amazing. And so it's a weekend-long party. I'm looking forward to it. I want to thank, again, Mike Tedoni and all the guys down there for allowing me to do it. So, yeah, I'm into it. I wish I could do it on a regular basis. I'm just living here in Santa Fe. It just doesn't.
Trust me when I tell you that your name comes up on a weekend, every weekend. Man, I wish Gene was here. We miss Gene. Where's Gene at? Man, Gene.
I'm watching. I want everybody to know I'm watching everybody on Facebook, especially the juniors. I'm loving watching the juniors this year.
Yeah, man. Hey, one of my kids is leading the points right now, so I'm hoping, man. Hey, I've been doing that for 6 years, and I've always been a bridesmaid. I've never been a. We've had 2 runner-up track champions, one in Roswell and one in Albuquerque. I've never been able to win one. Maybe this year will be different.
Hey, real quick, guys. Paul, if it's okay, in our drag racing community, could we note the passing of Ted Hanby? Just this past.
Oh yeah, Troy's dad. Yeah, but I'm not too sure what happened. I think I don't know what exactly happened, but he was a fantastic man, and he was loved by quite a few people in the drag racing community. I know that he was, I've seen him with Lyle so many times that I lost count. And Troy is obviously the car chief and crew chief on the Cone Hunter car. So definitely give a shout out to Troy and his family. Our condolences on the loss of your father.
Wonderful.
But yeah, hey man, you guys already know what it is. This is the Starting Line Society podcast. I'm Paul, that's Ronnie, and that's Gene. We will see you guys next week. I'm not sure what I have going on, but we do have something in the work. And I'm sure that you saw the post on Facebook. Mad Maxine is coming to the Starting Line Society podcast. We just got to get our schedules to link up, and we'll get Shannon Hill inside the studio and see what kind of trouble we can get into. Yeah. All right, guys. Let me see. Hold on. I got some outro music here, but I gotta find it. Oh yeah, there it is. All right, guys. Starting Line Society. You guys hang around after we end the thing, so I can talk to you about something.
Okay. Thanks, Paul.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
It won't play. Of course not.
Yeah, boy.